Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of MetsMusings.
Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of MetsMusings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special trading deadline edition of MetsMusings. Going to skip some of the usual departments, if you will. We won't go on the farm tonight and check it out, but we're going to talk about what the Mets did on the trading deadline and how they made out and the repercussions and all of that coming up on this show. So I hope you enjoy that. Well, let's start off by taking a listen to General Manager David Stearns as he talks about the acquisition of Cedric Mullins.
David, could you just walk us through the Mullins trade, when that got serious for you, and also what he provides for your team, does to your roster here?
Yeah, we have been having off and on conversations with Baltimore, clearly about a lot of different things over the last couple of weeks. Mullins' name has been part of those discussions throughout. We like the player. We like what he brings on both sides of the ball. The athleticism, we talk a lot about ways that players can impact games that may not always show up in the box score, and we think Cedric has the ability to do a lot of that. We think he's going to fit in very well to how we run the bases, how we want to play defense and center field, and so excited to bring him on the team.
That clip comes to us courtesy of SNY TV, and you heard David Stearn. He likes the deals that he made, especially the one for Cedric Mullins. The Mets went into this trading deadline. They had a specific job to do. They wanted to rebuild the bullpen, essentially, bring some more arms in, some fresh arms. They wanted to get a bat, and they wanted to get a center fielder, and the two are not exclusive of one another. They also were kind of looking on the periphery at a starting pitcher, though I think they're quite satisfied with the pitching that they have. This was something that they also considered. And what happened? Well, they came away pretty good. As you well know now, the Mets traded for Gregory Soto last week. He's already made a couple appearances as a Met. They enhanced their bullpen in acquiring Submariner Tyler Rogers from the San Francisco Giants and 100-mile-per-hour man Ryan Helsley from the St. Louis Cardinals. And people have been praising these moves. Both moves have done a lot to, and of course the move for getting Soto has really fortified that Mets bullpen. Now they all are rentals, so keep that in mind. But the Mets are out to win it this year, and they're going all in. Now you take those guys, those talented guys, they got some big-time bullpen arms. Helsley was a closer. and they're going to be joining Edwin Diaz, second left-hander to help out Brooks Raley, and Stanek and Garrett can slide down a little bit in the not so much the depth chart, but they'll be pitching earlier in the games, and it's impressive. It's a darn good bullpen, one of the best in baseball. Now I feel that they could add to it by moving Clay Holmes out of the rotation and back into the bullpen, and this could still happen. They're going to stick with the rotation as it is, but don't forget Tyler McGill may be back sometime in August or even September. So if they can push another month out of Clay Holmes, they will. But they'll have McGill coming back, Blackburn's coming back. They're going to have such a glut of pitchers. It's going to be fascinating to see what they're going to do with these guys. I mean, really, we just named 2 starters coming back, and their roster's full. So we'll have to see what happens at that particular point in time. Of course, there could be an injury in the interim, and that would, solve a lot of the issues, even though you don't want anybody to get hurt. But that would take care of some of the number games as we go into September. Now let's take a look at the trade. What did they give up? And I got to tell you honestly, not a heck of a lot. Maybe a lot of people saying it was a lot for Tyler Rogers. They got Tyler Rogers, as we said, from the San Francisco Giants. They gave up Jose Butto, Blade Tidwell, and outfield prospect Drew Gilbert. Now, Butto is Butto. We know he struggled this year. Does he want to be a starter? Maybe San Francisco will give him the chance to stretch out and be a starter again next year. Who knows? Could turn into another Seth Lugo, but he was struggling this year, and he wasn't going to get you where you wanted to get. And that's what the Mets had to be looking at David Stearns as they went into this. Are they going to get to that World Series with a Jose Butto, or are their odds better with a Tyler Rogers? And they made that choice. Get a different look in there. The underhand submariner pitcher type, and that's the way they went. Now, Tidwell, of course, he struggled a little bit in his brief major league exposure, and it seems almost as if he has been passed by on the prospect list by McLean or Sproat, and perhaps that's why they were willing to give him up. Drew Gilbert, same kind of thing. He wasn't progressing as fast as they thought he might. Look, all of these guys could turn it around and be solid major league pitchers and outfielder in Gilbert's case, but they had to take the chance now because they're in a win mode now. Let's take a look at the other trade. The right-handed pitcher Ryan Helsley, and the Mets got him from the St. Louis Cardinals, and they gave up Jesus Baez, a good prospect, an infielder, played some short, played some second, played some third at Brooklyn. Pretty good hitter. I hear that a lot of people weren't too high on his baseball IQ, though. So he had good speed. I thought he looked pretty good, but he was really blocked. There really was nowhere to go in considering prospects ahead of him for the same position, like a Jet Williams and, the guys currently on the roster. So he was somewhat expendable. They also traded right-handed prospect Nate Dome, who, again, was pitching for Brooklyn. He pitching pretty well, pretty good, as well as Frank Assault, who was also with Brooklyn. Both were pitching pretty well, but again, a lot of pitches are ahead of them in the prospect chart. So the Mets felt that they could get rid of these guys, and they got a guy in Helsley who can throw 100 miles per hour. He led the majors in saves last year with 49. Hasn't been as good this year. He still has 21 saves in 26 chances with a 3.0 ERA, and he will serve as the setup man in front of Edwin Diaz. He might even get a couple of save opportunities when Diaz has pitched a few days in a row. So it was a good deal that they had to make. Rogers is 34 years old, and he's been one of the game's most dependable relievers over the last 7 or so years. He led the NL in appearances 3 times. And as we said, he's got that submarine arm slot where he comes almost underhanded. Not a speedballer by any means, but he's got a sinker and a good slider that he throws. And it's just the different look that he's got. And he joins the Mets with a 1.80 ERA. And don't forget now, you can throw a guy like Stanek out there that throws 98 miles an hour, or even a Helsley, and come back with a Tyler Rogers who throws tops 84 miles an hour. So it's a good way to keep the batters off balance. So it'll be an interesting mix in this bullpen, and we can't forget Gregory Soto coming from the left side. Another good, solid bullpen arm that the Mets acquired last week. And as I said, he's had a couple of appearances already for the Mets, so the bullpen is taking shape. Will it gel? Always a question. Always a question with a bullpen. You hope it does gel. You hope it comes around and it gets the job done. Only time will tell. And starting tomorrow, it's a new Mets bullpen, and we'll see who's here. I think Tyler Rogers is here already. I don't know about Helsley. Of course, Soto's here. Mullins, I don't know whether or not he will be here, but we'll have to see. But let's talk a little bit about Cedric Mullins. The Mets went into, as I said, they wanted to upgrade their, they wanted to get a bat. They would have loved to upgrade in center field and, maybe get a starting pitching. Prices were very high on starting pitching. So they made the upgrade, though, with Baltimore. And as one guy said on MLB, had no clue why Baltimore even made this deal. Because what Baltimore got back was a lot of really shot-in-the-dark prospects that they're hoping, somebody will pan out. So, but the Mets get Cedric Mullins for the 3 prospects from the Orioles. The Mets gave up number 14 prospect Anthony Nunez, number 30 prospect Ramon Gomez, and high A reliever Chandler Marsh. Now, in all of these deals, the Mets did not give up any of their top 9 prospects, including, we're talking about Jonah Tong and McLean and Jet Williams and Sprout. And also they managed to hang on to Jonathan Santucci, though his name had come up, from what I heard, in a potential trade with the Marlins to get Sandy Alcantara. That did not pan out. There was a rumor, I guess it was just that perhaps Santucci and Vientos would go to Miami. But I think as it got closer to the deadline, the prices, usually they drop if a team wants to make a deal. But I think it went up higher on a guy like Alcantara and some of the other starters that everyone thought was going to get moved, but they did not get moved. So it was a crazy busy day. Lots of people changing uniforms. I'm not going to get into all of it. You can read about it on the MLB site if you want. I will talk a little bit about the Phillies. They did shore up their bullpen. They got probably one of the top closers in the game, at least in the American League, in Johan Duran. And that really is going to boost up the Philly bullpen, as well as they added our old friend, outfielder Harrison Beta. So they get, who's having a pretty good offensive year, so they get a bat and a good defensive center fielder, and they add Duran into the end of their bullpen. So Phillies are not going away quietly, nor did we expect them to. Mets have a half-game lead, as we know, and as we go into this the rest of the season, it's almost like it's a fresh start tomorrow, August 1st, and September's around the corner, and this is crunch time now. This is the time when the dog days of summer. This is when you've got to suck it up and really grind it out on the field now. And the Mets have made the moves that they needed to. Did David Stearn do his job? I think he did an excellent job. He accomplished most of what that they had said they wanted to. They wanted a center fielder. They wanted to upgrade in center field, and they wanted to get a bat. They did that with Mullins. Okay, Mullins is a valuable player because he has a lot of speed. He's got a load of pop. Struggling a little bit this year. The numbers aren't very gaudy, but he's got 15 homers, so that's not bad. And anything he can hit is better than their current situation. Even though I love Tyrone Taylor, he does a great job defensively. Mullins is a terrific center fielder, strong defender. Made a great play this weekend against Toronto, going over the fence and robbing a home run. And if he can hit 250, 260 for you the rest of the, or even more, the rest of the way, and bang out 10 homers, it'll be a successful deal. And he's got some speed. The one thing I don't like is that, of course, that these guys are all rentals, and but I think they knew that. David Stearns commented about that as he met the media a while ago, and they knew they're rentals. But the asking prices were lower, and so you think about, well, what happens next year if you don't win this year? Because a lot of these guys are on one-year contracts. You're going to have to rebuild the bullpen again. I think they'll just see who performed and who didn't, and they'll go after who they want to, and then he'll add again. Simple as that. The rotation should be in pretty good shape next year, I would think. Peterson should be back. Montes, I believe. Minaya, definitely he'll be back. Senga will be back. He's still on the contract, so they'll be pretty set there. They might want to add a pitcher in the offseason, or they might go with a rookie next year, or two rookies. Who knows? Let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about this year. But the point is, if a guy performs and performs greatly in these next 2 months, they could, possibly sign him. There's money coming off the books next year, I believe. A lot of money. Are they going to re-sign Alonso? Is Alonso going to even stay? He's got an opt-out. He could opt out of his 2 years left on his contract, and they could either try to sign him, or we go through the song and dance again of the free agency market. He may have a bigger market this time, and his asking price may go up. And the Mets may decide not to go in that direction. Maybe that's why they hung on to Vientos and Beatty and Mauricio and Acuna and McNeil, so they could move one of those or two of those guys to first base next year. We're not sure. My guess, it would probably be if Vientos would go to first, or maybe even Beatty, if they don't get moved in the offseason. It's a lot of ifs involved there, but they could sign these guys again. There's no, nothing saying that they can't. But David Stearn has once again done a terrific job. He went out there and rebuilt this bullpen in 3 days, a week if you count in the Soto trade, and really did. He's got to get at least an A or a B plus if you're a hard grader. I'm an easy grader, so I'm going to give him an A. I would have liked to seen him add a starting pitcher. But again, he said they're happy with the rotation that they have, and they're not going to do. They didn't want to go after anything, and probably didn't want to get. They didn't want to really give up any of their top prospects to bring back a pitcher. So they did not. But again, he got his center fielder that he wanted, one of the ones he wanted. The talk was Mullins, Luis Roberts Jr., or I can't think of the other guys that they were talking about, but he got Mullins. And I think Mullins was probably the better of the two. Roberts didn't end up getting traded anyway. He may have the higher upside, but there's a question about his durability and his hitting, his offense. So they were better off getting the guy that they got in Mullins, and they seem to be very happy with it. And it comes at a good time now because there's some more injuries. We're not going to have a long injury update like in the past, like I have had, but they're coming back from the West Coast. It started out as a great trip, going taking 3 straight against the Giants, and then of course the sweep of the Mets by the Padres, and they just look bad in that series. It's an amazing thing. They look so good in the Giants series and so bad in the Padres series. So it's a funny game. You just never know. But Philadelphia really didn't do much either over these past 6 games, as they too they picked up a game on the Mets. The Mets, I think they left. They were half a game ahead, and they came back. They were half a game ahead. They had extended it to a game and a half, and then the lost trip to San Diego, if you will, brought it back to a half. But the Phillies were losing, and they were dropping games to the White Sox, who have one of the worst records in baseball. So, we'll see now. Now with both bullpens fortified, and it's going to be a shootout here. And it's going to be interesting when these two meet because they do have some games left. Let me see if I can call up the schedule here and see what we've got left with Philly. 3. It looks like there are 7 games left with the Phillies, 3 at home at the end of August, and 4 in Philadelphia in the beginning of September. So those are going to be very important games. And look, the Mets have got a tough road. It's not easy. They're going to play the Giants are coming in tomorrow. Even this homestand is going to be tough. Then they got Cleveland, who's fighting for a division lead, coming in. Then they go to Milwaukee for 3. That's going to be a tough series. And as we know, they battled Milwaukee last year in the playoffs. Milwaukee's going to want some revenge for that loss. And then they come home, they play Atlanta and Seattle. And Seattle might be the best team in the American League right now. Houston's going to stake a claim to that, as will Toronto and Detroit. But Houston made a bunch of deals, and Seattle made some really big deals to help their team. So it's not going to be easy. But we just have to hope for the best and hope that the team that played in San Francisco comes to play and not the ones that played in San Diego. All right, let's take a break and we'll come back and just look at some injuries and talk a little bit more and call it a show.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Okay, and we are back, and let's take a look at some injury updates quickly. The club transferred designated hitter Jesse Winker to the 60-day IL and optioned Chris Stavinsky to AAA to clear roster space for the recently acquired relief pitcher Tyler Rogers, who joined the team on Thursday. That's today. He arrived the day before the Mets began a series against his former team, the San Francisco Giants. I wonder if he flew with the Giants here and then just went over. We had a scare on the road trip. Juan Soto fouled the ball off of his foot and came out of the game. The x-rays were negative, and he should be able to return to the lineup tomorrow against the Giants. So Juan Soto seems to be okay. Francisco Alvarez also had gave us a little scare. He had a head contusion, caught a foul tip off the side of his head. He passed the concussion protocols after taking that foul off his helmet and flew back to New York with the Mets and could need additional rest, but doesn't appear to be an IL candidate at this point. So let's just hope he got a headache out of it. He gets some rest. They'll sit him down maybe a couple of days. Let Torrens catch a couple of days and then see how Alvarez at that point. But it doesn't look like he's going to need to go on the 10-day list at all. So that's a good thing. We don't want to see anybody get injured at this point of time. And I said I wasn't going to go down on a farm, and I'm not, but I have to announce that Ryan Clifford of the Binghamton Rumble Pony was named the Eastern League Player of the Week last week, and he had a great week. 6 games against the Fighting Phillies. He led minor league baseball in on-base percentage, OPS, RBIs, and runs scored, and batted .522. He tallied 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, 11 runs scored, 8 walks, and 6 extra base hits. He now leads all AA in home runs with 21 and RBI with 66. And he's tied for the 5th most home runs in minor league baseball. So Ryan Clifford's having a big year at AA. Can he continue it in AAA? My guess is there's a month left in the AAA. A month in playoffs left in minor league baseball. Will they promote him? I would try to get a look at him at AAA and see how he adjusts, only because of the situation with Alonso in case he opts out. But I wanted to get that in. Ryan Clifford is having a good year there, named Eastern League Player of the Week. One of my other favorites, Carson Bange, also with AA. Binghamton has had another great week. This kid just keeps hitting. So does Jacob Raymer. So these are guys that have a future and are moving kind of rapidly up the system. So that's good to see, and we could see them sooner than we thought. And maybe that's why the Mets got a guy like Mullins that was a rental player to help them win this year, and maybe next year they feel that Jet Williams or they're going to try a Bange or somebody like that in the outfield and see if they can handle the job at the major league level. We shall see. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. I just wanted to do a quick show this week. It's not very quick, is it? But a lot of news, so we wanted to discuss it all with the trading deadline. And again, kudos, David Stearn, terrific job he did for this team in rebuilding this bullpen, getting some arms in there, some first-class top arms in the bullpen, and let's just hope that they gel and it all comes together for the Mets and it can carry them through the playoffs into the World Series and into a championship, hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. So remember, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. It helps me with my picking my content, and it just helps in letting me know I'm going in the right or the wrong direction. So you can also leave a comment. That would be another thing that would be very helpful. So until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go, Mets. I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.